Hello CraftDee Family, and welcome to another tutorial by She's So Crafty. For today's DIY project, we will be creating some home decor using mostly items from the Dollar Tree and also some with some wood pieces. Now these decor creations can be used in so many ways and in just about any space in your home. Now I've placed some of my favorite decorative accessories on these, but you can certainly customize these into your own personalized style of decor. Now as always, all of the projects I create have complete supply lists in the description box, so you can easily use it for reference as you gather your supplies. Now before we start, I have to say hey to all of my subscribers, and if you are a new visitor to my channel today, I hope you consider subscribing as well and stick around to enjoy these crafts and the different ways that I'll show you how to style these in your space. So now let's just jump right into the projects. Now this project is a two-tone woven look container decor. Now we're going to need a couple of different sun hats from the Dollar Tree. And we'll need one of these clear plastic buckets from the Dollar Tree. So we're going to start off with our sun hats, and we're going to be unraveling these, so just find the end and that's where you will start unraveling. Now I have one already in progress, and I'm showing here all you have to do is clip a few threads, and then once you clip those threads, you can easily pull the entire sun hat apart and use it as a strip for your project. Now we're just going to do this for two different colors for our project. So I'm going to go ahead and start by laying out my silicone mat, grabbing my bucket, and I've already rolled up my strips onto rolls to easily manage for my project. So I'm going to start with the neutral color, and how we're going to apply this is we're going to start at the bottom of the bucket. Now we just want to apply a dab of hot glue on there to secure that end right along the bottom edge of our bucket. Now to apply it around the edge, we're just going to make sure our hot glue is along the bottom edge of the bucket and lay your stripping all the way around, kind of pulling it taut so it's nice and straight. You want this first row to be very straight. So once we wrap it around and the ends come together, we're going to make sure it overlaps about 1/4 of an inch and then secure that end in place, overlapping it over the end where you started. So once that first row is done, we're going to continue on to make additional rows. Now for our second row, we definitely want to overlap at about 1/8 of an inch so we don't have any gaps in our work. Now we're going to continue adding the stripping up about 1/3 of the way up the bucket. Now I found that going up about 1/3 of the way is about 6 rounds of the stripping. Now you can definitely attempt this with using a solid strip without cutting each row, but I found that it goes kind of crooked when you do that, so I love doing it this way because it ends up really nice and even. So now we're going to start adding the stripping along the top of the bucket, making sure you start and stop the same place you did at the bottom of the bucket so that seam will be nice and straight. Now we are going to be covering up the top of the scallops of the bucket, so make sure you apply your hot glue along those edges, and when you start to apply your little stripping from the hat, it definitely covers those scallops and they won't show in the project. Now we're going to continue wrapping this around until we have 6 rounds at the top as well. So now for the middle opening, we are going to put our contrasting color in, and in my case I am using the piece from the black sun hat. Now if you can't find the black sun hat, that's perfectly fine. You can cover this bucket in any color you want to, and if you wanted a black strip and can't find one, you can paint this stripping as well. I've painted it with acrylic paint before and it takes really well. So we're just going to continue to wrap that black stripping around until the entire middle is covered, about 4 or 5 rounds, and make sure that there's no gaps in your project. And now all you have to do is decorate. And here we have our container on display with a few stems of palm that I already had on hand. Now I think that using this as a planter is a really great idea since the inside is waterproof. Now these plants that I used are faux plants, but I simply added some newspaper as filler and I topped it off with some Dollar Tree black rocks. Let me know how you would choose to use this container in your home. Now this project is a pair of succulent globe containers. Now we'll need 2 of these thick round wood circles from the Dollar Tree. We'll also need 2 medium-sized round glass vases from the Dollar Tree. So we're going to start off working with those wood pieces. So we're going to go ahead and cut off all of those tags. Now we are going to be staining these pieces, and I will be using my Jacobian stain by Minwax. Now I'm just going to proceed with applying a layer of stain on the front and the back of the circle, and also along the side. You want to make sure you really rub that stain into the side because it does have several grooves, and just continue this until both the front, back, and sides are covered, and then repeat for the second one. Now once they all look really good and well covered, you want to sit these to the side to completely dry. So now that they're dry, we can start working on our containers. Now we're going to grab our glass containers, and we want to remove all the stickers and clean the bottoms really well. Now we're going to be placing these on top of the wood pieces, so we need to determine what we're going to stick inside first. Now I wanted to just use some succulents, so in order for the succulents to sit nice and sturdy, we are going to have to drill a hole, and that's what I decided to do. So I'm just going to drill a hole with a fairly large drill bit that's about the size of the stem of the succulents that I'm using. So you see I have a hole in the center there, so now the stem of my little Dollar Tree succulents fits snugly inside, and it would hold that globe in place and keep it from slipping off, which is great. So I'm just going to repeat this for the second circle and stick another succulent in there and the lid, and there you have it. We have 2 globe covered succulents. And it's just that simple. Now I really love this idea for displaying your succulents. Now I really love the look of these, and you could even place flowers, some small trinkets, battery votives, or even fairy lights inside these globes. Now I think the only hard part is deciding what kind of wonderful decor to display inside. Now what would be your choice of what to display in these? Now this project is a 3-tier modern tray shelf. I'm going to need one 1x4 from the Home Depot for about $4.48. Now you do want to make sure that you check your region's pricing, and these are sold in 8-foot lengths. Now I also need a 1/2-inch dowel from Walmart, and this was 97 cents. Now to cut these, you can use a miter box, and you can get these fairly cheap at most home improvement stores. And this comes with a saw and a box for cuts, and they range about $10 to $11. Now my personal saw is a miter saw, and it's a Hitachi brand, which is now named Metabo. I use this for all of my wood projects. It was about $99 when I bought it, and it's still around $100 on Amazon. So I do highly suggest this to use if you have the capability. So we're going to cut our wood now. We're going to cut one piece at 6 inches, one piece at 9 inches, and one piece at 12 inches. Now we're also going to cut our dowels at the same length at 6 inches, 9 inches, and 12 inches as well. Now we're also going to cut 6 pieces of smaller dowel at 1 1/4 inch piece. Now I'm going to be staining my shelf pieces with my Jacobian stain by Minwax. You just want to make sure that you cover these shelf pieces really nice and even. Now all the sides and edges of these pieces will be stained because they all will be exposed in the final project. So here's one piece all fully stained and ready to go. And now all you have to do is stain the remaining 2. And then once that's done, sit that outside to completely dry. So now we're going to work on our dowels while those dry. So we're going to grab up all of our 3 cuts and our little dowel pieces. Now I will be painting these with some black acrylic paint. Now with a brush, I'm just going to apply 1 to 2 coats of some paint on each one of my dowels. Now when you do apply the paint, you do want to make sure you get the very ends of the dowels as well, as these will be exposed in the final project. Now you want to continue to paint all of the dowels on all of the edges and let them sit to completely dry. So now our wood pieces are nice and dry and we're ready to start assembling our shelf pieces. So we're going to grab those and all our dowels as well. So I'm going to start with the smaller 6-inch shelf first. So I've been grabbing 2 of those small little 1 1/4 inch dowels and I'm going to be placing them on the shelf. Now I usually use my Surebonder wood stick hot glue, but I will be using a regular hot glue today. Since I did start this project early, I really had time for it to sit overnight, and I'd really love to use wood glue if I have time for it to sit and dry. So I'm using wood glue on this because I did want a nice solid finish, and I did have time to wait for it to dry overnight. So we're just going to place these about 1 inch from the edge and just wipe away any excess glue, and repeat this the same way on the 2 other shelves, placing those about 1 inch from the edge as well. Now once those little pieces are done, we can put our cross pieces on top. Now I'm just going to start by adding more of that wood glue on top of those little dowel pieces we just added. And then I'm going to take those corresponding cross pieces and place them on top of the dowels really nice and careful. So once those are in place, I am going to add some weight. So what I'm going to do is add 2 or 3 books on top and let them sit overnight to completely dry. So it's the next day and my pieces are nice and dry and solid. So now I decided to put some hanging pieces on there. Now this is going to be a fail right here, just a heads up. I thought that I could put some of these D-ring hooks on the backs of these shelves to hang them up, but I did decide to change my mind later, so just keep that in mind. I went ahead and I did apply one of them. They do come with little screws. I got these from Amazon and they're linked in the description box below. Now I did apply one of those D-ring hooks on the backs of the shelves with my screwdriver. Now when I did finally finish applying this, I did realize that this shelf would not hang level with these types of hangers. So I did have to go and figure out a plan B, and I took that D-ring off the back of this shelf. So I set those to the side, and what I did is I cut an additional piece of 1x4 at 18 inches that I had left over from the piece that I used. And then I went ahead and stained it the same color as the other shelves. Now this piece will be used as the support for my piece. And here it is, all nice and stained and dry and ready to work with. So I'm going to lay out my grid mat as a guide so I'll know how to apply my shelves to this support piece. So we're going to lay it with the back of this piece facing you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down and I'm going to make a mark every 6 inches, and this is going to mark the placement of my shelf. So I'm marking it at 6, 12, and 18. So I'm taking one of my shelves just to identify the width of the shelf, and I'm placing this on the line that I just marked, and I'm placing another line so I'll know the width of each shelf. Now I'm just highlighting it with a chalk marker right now just to show this is where I need to place my screw holes, and you can actually wipe this away when you're done. So we're going to flip it over now to the good side, and I'm just taping it to my mat so it doesn't shift. And we're going to start applying our shelves. Now this is where I'm going to figure out the placement, and this will be on that 6-inch line. So I'm just making the mark on this side as well. Now I will be using my Surebonder wood stick hot glue for this because this is just a temporary adhesion to hold it in place until I can screw these shelves in. So we're going to go ahead and place at the 6 mark, the 12 mark, and the 18 mark all the way down until all of the shelves are nice and dry and secured. So we're going to flip it over to the back, and now we can start drilling our pilot holes. Now I am going to be using some number 6 screws, so I am using a 3 32nd inch drill bit in my drill to drill pilot holes, making sure that I'm drilling down into the shelves. And now the screws I will be using, I am using a number 6 2-inch wood screws. So I'm just going to go ahead and apply each wood screw in place, just taking your time to apply them, making sure they're going nice and straight, because if they're straight, they'll go right into the wood and you don't have to worry about making any mistakes. So now that all 6 screws are in place, your shelves are nice and secure to that support board. So now I can finally add my favorite little D-rings. Now I can put them on the back of the support, and this is how they should be applied. Now I'm going to apply one in each top corner of that support board using those screws that come with it that are supplied, and then I can just hand screw these in. They don't need pilot holes because the screws are so small, so I'm just going to hand screw those in until they're both in place. And now all you have to do, dust off your shelf and hang it up and just decorate it. And here it is on display, all decorated. Now, I really love this cute little tiered shelf. Now, I'm so glad that I was able to save this design by adding the wood plank, and I actually love it even more. Now, you can place so many cute trinkets and decor on this shelf, and it would be perfect for a smaller space. And check it out, this shelf is also self-standing and can be used on a tabletop. Now, I love that this can be used to display items in 2 different ways. Now, this really makes me believe in Bob Ross's happy accidents theory. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Now, this project is a decorative textured vase. Now, we're going to use one of these vases from the Dollar Tree. So we're going to take one of our vases, and what we're going to do is I'm going to apply 2 coats of this flat black spray paint by Krylon. Now, if you don't have any spray paint on hand, you definitely can use some acrylic paint, and I have black acrylic paint on hand, and if you do that, just make sure you do 2 coats as well. So here is the finished product with that flat black spray paint. I think it looks gorgeous just like this. You can take some leather strip that's available at the Dollar Tree. You can tie it around there and it would be perfect. But I am also a little extra, so I wanted something to highlight that beautiful texture. So I'm using some desert sand acrylic paint, and I'm going to be highlighting that. Now, to highlight it, I like to use an old sanding sponge. And what I like to do is I like to take my paintbrush and I'm going to apply some paint directly to that sanding sponge. Now, how I highlight the texture in it, I just lightly stamp that sponge onto the vase, and what it's going to do is really highlight all of that beautiful texture in there. Now, I love that it has random variations of the thickness of the paints. It really looks very nice. So you're just going to let that completely dry, and once that's done, I am going to follow up with that leather stripping. I just think it really finally tops this look off, and I'm just going to apply this with a little bit of hot glue on each end. Now, if your ribbon is a little too long, go ahead and just trim it off and then hot glue that end in place. And now you have a beautiful vase for your decor. So now just add your greenery or filler of your choice and you have this awesome vase to display. Now, I really love this highlighted texture and it gives this vase so much character. Now, I absolutely love being able to create DIYs in so many different styles. I really hope that you have fun with these projects today. Now, as always, I love them all, but you all have to let me know in the comments which one was your favorite today. Listen, if you love DIYs on a budget, please give this video a thumbs up and share this video with your friends. Make sure that you're following She's So Crafty EE on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest for the latest news, sneak peeks, and giveaways. If you like videos like these and you don't want to miss the next one, make sure you're subscribed by clicking that subscribe button below, or just click on my She's So Crafty logo on your screen and make sure you hit that bell to be notified when the next DIY goes live. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all next time.